For many of us, it's winter, and that means short, cold, dreary days with spring too far away to even think about. But do not despair, my seasonal friends. There are things we could be doing right now, essential winter garden tasks, that can have a profound effect on our spring and summer growing successes. Our gardens and most of our plants may be dormant, but we don't have to be. I'm gonna give you 12 things that you could be doing right now in your garden to beat the winter blues and get a head start on the coming season. And it starts right now. Putting time into your garden right now during the winter can have several positive effects. For me personally, it has 3 main benefits. 1, it gets me actually gardening instead of thinking about gardening. Idle hands, especially for me, are no good. And being able to garden all year, even if I'm not planting in the literal sense, is highly beneficial. Winter prep also gets me a head start, which, if you have a winter in the first place, that means you have a shortened growing season. Head start can mean 2 or 3 crops instead of 1. They can mean bucket loads of cherry tomatoes or sparse pickings. The head start is measurable and tangible and reason enough. But the single most benefit and why I try to get so much done during the winter is time. When spring hits, it's game on. You're going 100 miles an hour, 24/7 to try and make the most of a window of opportunity. So anything that I can do now to lessen that workload later is just smart time management. Knowing those 3 benefits, let's dive into the 12 things that you could be doing for your garden in the waning days of winter. First on the list is to harvest and use up some of our compost. With all the fall cleanup that we did and less planting over winter, my compost bins are always overflowing at this time of year. I need to make a conscious effort to start using more of that compost, or I'm not going to have any more space for it. And speaking of compost, that leads right into task number 2, and that's to amend your beds. Late winter is the perfect time to amend and recharge our spent garden beds, and an even better match for all that extra compost that we have. Whether it's compost, organic matter, alfalfa meal, or even seaweed. Get those dormant beds recharged and reinvigorated. Your spring crops are going to thank you. Next up, we have general repairs and maintenance. The wear and tear of the previous season is no more apparent than right now. Damaged beds, fences, even greenhouses are best taken care of now when you have the time. Why wait for the craziness of spring when you can take your time, do the maintenance, all without the pressure? Getting through these nagging repairs and upgrades to your garden is such a good feeling. Obviously, fixing stuff has this tangible, immediate benefit, which is great, but also it's mentally uplifting and really helps you to appreciate and be proud of your grow space. That will in turn have residual effects on your growing success. I'm really sure of it. Winter is also a perfect time to clean, but not just clean, sanitize. Washing and disinfecting all your pots, trays, and containers is a great way to start fresh, eliminate possible pathogens, and mitigate transferable diseases. Don't leave this for spring when there simply isn't enough time and you may be tempted to skip it. Next, we have all our old potting soils. Rebuilding your spent soils is a great way to save not only time this winter, but also save money. I did a video earlier on how you can take spent potting soils and recharge them for further use. Now is a great time to do that, so you have a batch ready for some spring planting. Cover crops. Some people are actually planting theirs out right now to condition their beds prior to spring planting, which I think is awesome. Me, myself, however, I plant my cover crops in the fall to protect and even rejuvenate my dormant beds. And those crops have been growing all winter. If you're clear of snow and your last frost date is less than 3 weeks away, you can go ahead and cut those cover crops down right now, completing the cycle, readying those beds for planting. Good stuff. Weeding is a gardener's favorite chore. Now is actually a perfect time to weed when noxious invasive plants are at their weakest. Not only can you actually see what you're doing, you're also not disturbing freshly planted crops or new seed rows. Get those weeds out of there, trust me, it's stupidly satisfying. Next up is berry patch pruning. Most of the temperate berries grown around the world either get tip pruned or fully pruned during the later stages of winter. Use this time to tame those unruly patches and set those plants up for maximum harvest this summer. I've got links in the description for pruning raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, and even grapes. Check them out if you have a second. Number 9 on our list is construction. If you're expanding and building new beds, or even considering a greenhouse, now is the time to do it. If you want to be planting in the spring, you don't want to be building in the spring. Why leave it all for the last minute? Get those beds built and start filling them up now. Your spring self will thank you. Coming in at number 10, we have pathways and the areas around our plants. Pathways are the alleys and intersections that see the most traffic in our garden. But oftentimes, they're the most neglected. Make your life much easier by cleaning and rebuilding your pathways to increase the functionality and efficiency, while also inadvertently improving the aesthetic, an added bonus. Further to that, weeds in our paths are often the source for weeds in our beds. Eliminating those weeds right at the source means far less work later when time is finite. Now, this one's a biggie and deserves its own video, or two, and that's starting your seeds indoors early. If you even have a winter, then like we mentioned before, you probably have a shortened growing season. We must start our warm weather crops early indoors to ensure that they have enough time to grow, fruit, and produce. Start most of your favorite crops 8 to 10 weeks before your last spring frost date, and you'll ensure that the summer bounty doesn't elude you because of lack of time. Links galore in the description below on starting seeds early. And finally, the 12th task that I try to do every winter to maximize my spring and summer gardens is to plan. If your space, area, number of pots, and growing season are known and defined, you can work backwards from those parameters and plan out every single desired crop from finish to start. Where and when to plant your carrots? How and how many peppers to grow? And will I have enough space for beets? These are all endeavors that can be pre-planned. And remember, an ounce of planning means pounds of harvest. Plus, it's just fun to plan ahead and dream of the bounty that we're going to be blessed with later on this year. Our gardens may be dormant and taking it easy this winter, but we don't have to be. If you're getting antsy and anxious about the coming spring, why not release that pent-up energy using some of these strategies to alleviate the spring stress and spread out some of that work? Future you will be happier, and so will your spring garden. Hey, if you have any more winter chores that you routinely check off your list, make sure to share it with the community down below. Also, if any of you are on Facebook, head on over and join our gardening group called Growing Better. The group has grown phenomenally fast, yet it will never lose its sense of community or its welcoming feel. If you're passionate about growing epic organic fruits, herbs, and veggies for you and your family, the Growing Better group is a great place to hang out, share, learn, and grow. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you're getting value in this and the other series that I'm doing on YouTube, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons if you'd be so kind, and I'll see you in the next video.